SSP TV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker present Good Sports with Dave and Ken.
Welcome to Good Sports with Dave and Ken podcast and web series. I'm Ken Kara, SSP TV Sports Director, joined by Dave Seaman, Standard Speaker Sports Editor, and we are at the Schuylkill County Football Coaches Association Media Day. A lot of our teams, all in the Schuylkill League for us, Dave, that we'll be talking about today as we preview the 2019 football season. But along with the preview, Dave, we recorded all our interviews in that already. We're going to be throwing it to them. But we really got to know some of the coaches and players. It wasn't just your usual, oh, hey, how's the offense going to be this year?
You didn't hear a lot of cliches. I mean, a lot of one game at a time. Yeah, every coach is going to say that. Every player is going to say that. Just how personable these young men are. I'm not going to call them kids anymore. They're not kids. They're very intelligent. Their answers are very well thought out, and I was really impressed with that. You got a kid like Mahanoy Area's Danny Lawrence talking about going to West Point, so you know what his intelligence is like. You talk to Mason Miller, who at Marian. You talk to Tamakwa about their inspiration. Then you go to Tyler Elsden, who's going to be playing football at Penn State, studying out there too, and the coaches. The coaches were a treat as well. So it's it's an exciting time of year, and this is as local sports journalists, this is what we live to cover, and this is one of the most exciting days of the year.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. We're going to start with Shenandoah Valley, and I did a little interview with their head coach, Kevin Keating, and then just pay attention. We'll be jumping around from there, introducing players and coaches and what schools they're from, and then we'll wrap everything up, Dave and I, right here.
Well, we finished the season last year with 18 players. All of them weren't healthy either. So we had 30 practice yesterday. So it looks like we're going to be we're hoping the mid-30s. So there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of talking, recruiting. So it looks like it paid dividends.
Is this your second or third year?
Third year.
When you came in and knew, okay, we're going to build this program back up, are you happy with the progress you've seen year one, year two, and now going in year three?
That's a great question. The answer is yes, with one exception. If we could add a couple more wins. But our kids have taken to the program. They've done everything we've asked them to do. So we're hoping that we can stay healthy enough to get some wins this year.
Kicking things off with Shenandoah Valley, the Blue Devils. Joey, since I started doing this maybe 10 years ago, I've called you guys the 462 football crew and never really asked permission. Is that okay? Should I stop?
That's
Should I
fine.
keep
No,
going?
that's a respectable name. I like it.
Okay, there was one nickname one school was like, stop, we don't like that. And I respectfully was like, okay, that's cool. Here with Joey Alashevsky, and he is a wide receiver defensive back for Shenandoah Valley.
Joey, talk about the pride in the program. A lot of history involved in the Shenandoah Valley program. Talk about that pride you have in the program.
The pride that we have has always been there. Everyone, once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil. That's the saying. And Coach Keating has installed himself in the program, and he's all for it. He's all about pride, all about the town. And I mean, going from an 0-10 team, there's room for improvement, obviously, and that's all he wants for us. He just wants the best for all of us.
And I asked about, I was curious, we live in a fast-paced world. I needed just really quick, kind of what's one thing we should know about the Shenandoah Valley offense in 2019?
Shenandoah Valley offense is going to be a lot more passing than what it was, and we have some weapons.
You said you're working on a spread offense this year, so something kind of new.
Yeah.
All right, how about on the defensive side of the ball? It's one thing we should know.
Defensive side is we have more talent and more speed than what we had before.
We were talking, and I was interested in your answer. I said, what was one thing maybe you looked at in the offseason? You said, if we could improve here, this is going to make a big difference in 2019.
It would be our punt team, actually, because our punt team struggled last year. We couldn't get the ball, we couldn't punt the ball far enough. And we always gave the opposite team, really good field position. And this year, if we can get better punts, we'll have our defense right behind it. So
As a soccer player, Dave, I love the special teams.
You're always getting your kicks.
Yep. You want to go to the offense, you want to go to the
always
defense?
talking soccer.
You had some curiosities about superstitions, maybe a little bit, and you said maybe not superstitious, but there are
any rituals before the game or something. You have to have a certain meal or something before a game.
We always do our Thursday dinners with all the local fire companies and stuff, and then we always say one prayer before the game as a team and make sure for safety. And we don't say a prayer to win or anything. It's just for safety.
That's pretty cool. So the different fire companies, do they cook for you guys, or how does that work? You go to a different fire company, do they bring the food to you?
Yeah, they all make something pretty much different. It used to be all pasta, and then now they all make something different, and it's every Thursday, probably at like 7 o'clock. So it's the same time every week.
You were telling me too before the interview that as you continue to build at Shenandoah Valley, get those numbers up. You said you had 30 at practice recently. That's great. That you want to leave a legacy though. It's your senior year. What would you like to see after this season as it keeps building? What are you trying to leave behind?
I'm trying to leave behind a base for more kids to come out and have some wins on the column, so it's like, oh, we're not going to go out and lose every game. I want the younger kids to like get involved more.
And it seems like you guys understand too. It's a process. It's
Yeah,
not going to
it
be
is a
like
process.
10-0 overnight. It's going to take some time. Well, Joey, we thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you,
We
guys.
appreciate it, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Now joined by head coach Wally Hall with North Schuylkill. Super successful season last year, coach. I was winning the District 11 3A championship, going far in states. I'm sharing, I think, the Schuylkill League Division 1 title. I'm bringing all this update because I talked with your guys like maybe 2 months after the season to do a feature story, maybe 3. They were still pumped up about it. They took a lot of pride in that. Carrying over some of the momentum, some of the excitement, or just business as usual at North Schuylkill?
We do, and you know, it's exciting, but it's business as usual. We definitely have to focus on the now. Last year was last year. It was a great year. You know, what we carry over from last year is the experience, that feeling, but how we got to that point, and you know, how we got to that point was a lot of work. So I mean, that's what we continue to do is work really hard and definitely have an understanding of all the other teams in our league and the teams that are out there. There's a lot of great competition, and there's always some surprises.
I mean, it's a challenge for a coach to forget about last year. Fortunately for your team, you have a lot of leaders who say, okay, let's put that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and we look on for our kids to do that too, and our upperclassmen, and say, like, you know, that was great. It was definitely a good time, but they truly understand how we got to that point.
Coach, I've been asking, you know, just one thing. If you could tell us one thing about your offense this season, what should we know about the Spartans in 2019?
One thing I think when I look at our offense from a year ago, now you know what we did. It takes time, but now this year we're implementing more. So that's how I look at it. We have a lot of the guys back that we had from a year ago. So you know, we get to do a little bit more, and particularly with the personnel we have. I mean, that's the important part.
You talk about offense, though. I mean, obviously your defense really was a strength of your team last year. A lot of those key pieces are back, starting with Tyler Elsden, Jake Green. I mean, it must be fun to coach guys like that.
It is, and what's great about them is, you know, how they practice and how they go about their business. We have 5 individuals actually on the defensive side that are 4-year starters. Zach Chwansky, Tyler Elsden, Jake Green, Jaden Leiby, and Jason Lipshot, down guy. They all started as freshmen. I think when they came into their freshman year, some of them was initially Jake Green and Zach Chwansky started off first game, and then the rest of them came in about week 3, week 4, and they started from there on out.
Coach, on special teams, how are you guys looking there?
Good. I think numbers helps with special teams. It allows us, the numbers that we have, it allows us to get a lot of people on the field playing time in an important situation. Our kicker, Mitchell Vell, he's definitely improved. He's got stronger, so this will be his 3rd year as our kicker. You know, his accuracy is improved for the extra points and field goals, but his leg strength improved. But having numbers allows us to get a lot more guys out in the field.
You talk about a successful season. If you finish the sentence for me, this will be a successful season for North Schuylkill. If
that's a good question. There's a lot of ifs. You know, a lot of focus. I mean, that's what I look at. You have to keep focus. It's you know, it's tough. It's a long season. It's something that we got to focus on. You know, day to day. We go 6 days a week, and there's a lot that's put into it. So there's a lot of focus from everybody.
Coach, I just had 2 more things really quick, and one is sometimes when I talk with coaches and you talk about, you look at your personnel each year, maybe as you start to put in plans, when you have so much talent back in that, as a coach, do you get excited and say, oh, we can do this year on offense, and do you have to rein back a little bit and say, no, maybe we should just stay? How do you handle all that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you build off what you did really well last year. You prepare for the teams that you're going to play and what you want to do offensively. But the bottom line is, when it does come to it, you don't want to do too much. You want to be able to execute, and that's what it comes down to, that they know exactly what they're doing.
The last thing I want to ask you, Dave said, you know, we should do something fun today, Dave. Let's ask like the coaches and players about superstitions. I started thinking about the coaches and players in the Schuylkill League, and I thought, I bet you when we ask Coach Wally Hall this question, you say, I have none. Am I correct or am I wrong? Or I don't see you as a guy being like, yeah.
Before the game, the coach is in the coach's room. I usually take a nap and
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
You take a nap before the game? That you're that
usually
relaxed
in the coach's room, what's going on and stuff like that. And, we try to, even our pregame, we tell our kids, we select the music actually wisely to how we do it and stuff. We kind of keep our adrenaline down. There's, game time is when it counts. I mean, that's the time when to get excited. But, myself, no real superstitions.
Well, Coach Hall, we thank you so much for your time and good luck 2019.
Yep, you got it.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. We continue here at Media Day. Keep it simple. Dave Seaman, I don't know if you can see him behind me, co-host of this podcast. It's crazy. You got to interview people when you can. You guys are eating lunch. I'm joined now by Jaden Leiby from North Schuylkill playing quarterback. Y'all said you're in the secondary, correct?
Yep.
All right, man. Senior this year. Was last year your first year playing quarterback, or did you go back 2 years ago?
I started as a freshman. I played JV, but last year was my starting experience on the varsity team. But freshman and sophomore year, mainly freshman year I played on the JV.
So you come up with the team last year as a ton of talent, man. I mean, did you feel pressure early on? Were you so confident in your game? I mean, I read your name a lot in the newspaper. I know it was a good year, but I mean, when you were first coming in, was there a little bit of nerves?
Yeah, a lot of nerves. I get very nervous before games, especially like last year, first game of the year. It was very nerve-wracking.
What calmed you down? I mean, was it just going through the repetitions of playing? Or was it,
after, when a play would work, I'd get very calm. You know what I mean? I know it would work. I know I'd do everything right. The line helped me a lot, too.
How do you stay calm when the play doesn't go right? Did that take a little bit more, or you still work?
That took a couple times, yeah. Okay. Still working on it, yep.
Coach Hall told us that he takes a nap before the game, and I was like, you're that relaxed? You're just taking naps? I mean, does he kind of relax you guys, too?
Yeah, he relaxes us. He actually pumps us up, too.
Okay, he could, yeah.
I like getting pumped up before the game, too. It helps also with the nerves. You're going out there with your guys to do your thing, so it's a cool thing when you get pumped up with your guys.
So this year, 2019, fast-paced world. I only have a few minutes to tell my story sometimes. One thing about the North Schuylkill offense that we should know about 2019, what would you say?
We're going to be very fast, very fast.
Why do you say that?
Just at practice, you could tell the repetition, the tempo we're going in practice. Everything's working well. We're going real fast. The line's on it. We're all learning.
Is it a little bit faster this year, returning maybe some guys who really, like you're back again this year? Maybe does that contribute to going a little bit faster?
Yeah, it definitely contributes because we have multiple starters that are back, and everyone knows the deal. Everyone knows how it was last year, and the only thing we have it on the back of our shirts, it says never satisfied, and we're never satisfied with how it works, with how we do it.
Same thing on the defensive side. What's one thing we should know about the Spartans on defense?
On the defensive side, we're going to be tough. We have a lot of returning starters, and we also know the deal. A couple guys, 4-year starters.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I looked at your roster, man, and I was from last year, and I was like, there's a lot of people coming back on this team. So how do you stay confident without maybe getting overconfident, or is that just?
Yeah, well, we look at every team, the best team that we're going to play. We don't look ahead at all. Since we have a scrimmage next Saturday, it's that scrimmage. It's no looking ahead in the season.
Now, one game
live in the
now.
Yep.
As a Penn State fan, I know all about that with James Franklin. Let's go 1-0 this week. Dave Seaman, who's co-host, he was doing other interviews, but he was curious. He said, Kenny, let's ask some of these players about superstitions and that. And I said, you know what, I come here sometimes, I ask about it. A lot of players tell me they're not superstitious. I mean, no, do you have anything that
not really.
A ritual or tradition?
I mean, I'll wear the same shirt, and if we keep winning with that same shirt on, I'll keep that.
Was there a shirt from last year that you had on a lot? What was it? Was it
was an American flag. I had an American flag in the back.
How about a tradition at North Schuylkill? Is there something you guys do all the time that maybe people don't know about? Or
I don't know if people know about it. We give one guy the shield before every game, and the guy gets thrown out with the shield. And it's just about how you do, even the week before. If you do good the week before, you could earn the shield. If you do good that practice, you could earn the shield. If you show leadership, anything you could do. There's some guys that didn't even really play last year and still got the shield because of how much they participated in practice and everything like that.
That's to be a cool feeling. Did you have the shield last
Yeah,
year?
I had the shield week 2. It was real cool. Yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, there's two things I always wanted to do in sports. One was hit a home run in baseball, and two is I just want to run out on the field as part of a football team. I feel that would get me going. Well, Jaden, good luck this year. You're busy now, media day. We appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
With another North Schuylkill Spartan right now, senior Tyler Elsden, and he's playing linebacker and also playing the fullback position. You guys were talking about weight. I was setting up the camera and everything, and you're talking about weighing in for the season. That's something I usually don't think about with football, but something important. I mean, you take a look at that and say, hey, I should be here. I should be here. What do you do to control that?
Well, I like to look like when I was a freshman, I came in, I was 170 pounds.
Okay, where are you at now?
So I'm at 223, 225 now. I guess it depends how much water I lose. But, I mean, what's big for that is just you got to eat right. I try not to eat junk food and all that. You don't got to get crazy with your diet, but just make sure you're drinking water, just eating right, and then
Moderation.
Yeah, moderation, exactly. So I mean, there's times like if I'm trying to bulk, put on weight, usually in the winter, you gotta like kind of force feed. It's a lot of food, but I mean, it's worth it.
Can you feel it when you're on the field? I mean, I'll tell you what, I had some cake yesterday. I did, and I'm doing this interview right now, and I'm like, I'm a little uncomfortable. But I mean, when you're out on a football field, you'll be like, oh man, I got an extra 3 or 5 pounds. It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, just going over the years, like I said, I started 170. Last year I played realistically about 208, 210, and just now, like I just feel like you feel stronger, you feel faster, more explosive. You put on the right weight. So I mean, it makes a big difference, and I put a lot of time in the weight room, just eating right, stuff like that. So definitely.
You guys had such a successful year last year. Probably wanted to win a few more, in the state playoffs, but a successful year last year. When you take a look at this year, how excited do you get to think, oh man, we should be good again?
No, definitely. It was a really exciting year last year. I mean, district championship, it was awesome. One of the best moments of my life. State playoffs, it was great. To me, that's in the past now. It was a great season. You could look back on it, but now we're focused on just the future, this season, what's to come and stuff like that. And our goals are pretty much the same. District, states, that's really it. We want to do our best, play as a team, get better week by week. So I'm looking forward to it. And with the new field we got coming in, there's a lot more like higher energy. We're going to be the first team that gets to play on it. So we're looking forward to that. And we're just really excited. A lot of starters come back, a lot of key guys, and I think if we do things right and how we should and how we've been, we'll be in good hands. So.
What's the difference playing on the field turf compared to grass?
I mean, there's a lot. Personally, I like the mud. Like we played a couple mud bowls last year.
Yeah.
Best games I ever played in my life. Getting dirty. That's just how I've always been. Just hitting kids, getting dirty, and just going home. And, my mom just scrubbing out stains. But the thing with turf is, one, maintenance, of course, like for the school is easier. But just it's a faster playing surface. You could cut faster. You could hit harder. That's what I look at. You just stick your feet in the ground, and just smack someone. So I'm really excited. It's fast. It's going to be hotter. Of course, just the heat rating off it. But we're going to be good. It's just speed. And like most of our games this year, I like our home games, of course, and then we go to Loyal Sock will be on turf. I believe Schuylkill Haven will be on turf. And there might be another game of turf. So we're playing the majority of our games on turf this year.
As you look back at Tyler Elsden, 170-pound freshman or whatever, how do you think you've changed as a player since then? I mean, is there something you look back on and be like, I can't believe I did that back then in my freshman year? How have you improved?
So one thing I'll say that has never changed is just my heart for game. Like I love the game. I've been playing this is my 13th, 14th season. I'm not sure, but I mean, what's really changed is really just detailed stuff. I believe I've always had a good motor to the ball, just running for the ball, just working hard, never quitting. And I always looked at it like when I'm in a game, to me it feels like a fist fight. That's bloody knuckle mentality. It's kind of something I say to myself. You just put everything into it. And so what's gotten better, I guess you could say, I've increased speed. I've worked on a lot. I started track 2 years ago.
Oh, nice. What are you doing in track?
I've run the 100, 4x1. I was at States this year for 4x4, which we went to States 2 years ago for that. Nice. So, I mean, it's been really good.
Added,
yeah, that's definitely helped, just speed and stuff like that, and just footwork. Footwork's huge. And, like, I put a lot of detail work into that just because you can't make plays if you can't get there. Yeah. So you could be a big guy, you could be a fast guy, but if you can't have good base and get there, there's no point. So.
You talk about all your characteristics. You talk about the hard work, playing in the mud. You sound like a Penn State linebacker to me. What went into that decision to make that decision earlier?
It was definitely I had a lot of attention. Power 5 schools, lots of visits, Virginia, West Virginia, stuff like that. And all of them are beautiful campuses, great programs. Just meeting the guys and coaches at Penn State was really special. And just being from where we are, PA, small town, there's so much community support about Penn State, and that was really special. And I received the offer that day, and just the following week, coming up to my commitment, just the amount of community support was just crazy. And I think Penn State, they're a really high-ranked team. They're LBU to me. I mean, some might dispute that, but
well, you won't get any argument from the two guys sitting here.
Yeah.
I was just saying, as two Penn State fans, I can't believe we waited this long to ask a Penn State question to Tyler. But thank you for getting it in, Dave. Does that take pressure off? I don't want to say that you obviously have a heart for this game, not like you're going to mail it in your senior season itself. But I mean, is there some pressure off of you, or is there pressure on you now that the decision's made, or just you're just kind of like par for the course?
I mean, I guess you could go both ways. To me, I wanted my decision before the season, just so I could focus on the season, and because I know I'm never going to get my high school years back, and high school football is really special. Just like the bonds you have being with the guys every day. Like, they've been my best friends for
It
forever.
helps that you have a lot of guys that are in your class and a lot of talent.
And we all have the same goals. I mean, Jake Green just committed to Towson, which is in Maryland. It's great program. We have other kids getting looks and stuff like that. So everyone has a competitive mindset. So that's really big. And just I know there's going to be pressure like during the season because obviously people are going to expect more of me.
Say, there's that kid who's going to Penn
But
State.
I'm not going to let that slow me down or anything. I've always just played the same game, and once the ball's kicked, all that's forgotten. I just do my thing. So I'm just out there just doing my best for my teammates. So we go by something like you don't want to be the weak link.
Yeah.
Because if one guy falls back, one player takes a break, it's going to affect everybody. So I just make sure I do my best as a leader, keep everyone going, and just do my part. So
excellent. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I just want to wish you a lot of luck this season. It was fun watching your team play last year, and I don't know what constitutes a successful season this year for the Spartans.
So like we always had like a tough mindset, and we have a lot of new guys. Like I said, a lot of returning guys. We have a couple guys that are replacing guys that left last year, especially in the offensive line. But that doesn't really matter because we always been hard workers. I mean, they've been in like. They weren't starting last year, but they're working with us. They're learning from the guys that started last year. So I think what's really going to be key this year is just kind of just doing our own thing. Don't let the media or expectations get to us and just play game by game and just do our best to prepare each week. So.
Well, Tyler, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time. Everyone's like filing out of here. I think North Schuylkill's the last team, so we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Good luck, 2019.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Joined by a Blue Raider right now from Tamakwa Area High School, Jake Barron, linebacker and tight end senior. I've been asking a lot of players in that. I said, we're living in a world that's always in a rush. What's one thing we should know about the Tamakwa Blue Raiders this year? What's like a headline or something? What's one thing you think should get out on media day?
We have a lot of playmakers on the team. No matter what situation, what time of game, where we're at in the field, anybody, anywhere can make a play.
Last season, if we go back to last year, I mean, the Schuylkill League's so tough. I see you guys, you beat North Schuylkill and that. You end up, sharing the championship, right, with them? I mean, when you see that, does it motivate you guys more to be like, it's going to be all ours this year, or is that kind of what you're thinking about? Or?
Yeah, well, that loss to Jim Thorpe really stung because that put us all in a three-way tie.
Oh, it's a three-way tie,
yeah. Us, North Schuylkill, Jim Thorpe. And we really just want to share that title by ourselves, so that's what we're really looking forward to.
What motivates you more, the loss to Notre Dame or the championship loss?
Definitely the loss to Notre Dame. I feel like last year we kind of let that one slip in the fourth quarter, so we really just want to make sure we finish every single game out on top.
It's one thing to say, oh, I remember this, and we try to forget that, and you try to move on. How much of a player do you try to, like, maybe, okay, I want this to motivate me, but at the same time, I don't want to get stuck in 2018. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, well, the Notre Dame game really hurts because I felt like last year was really one of our really best seasons we ever had, so we really wanted to go far with that season, and having to lose in the first round of districts really hurt, so we really just want to get past that point and do something really special.
I was at the North Schuylkill game when you played them last year. I mean, you felt the buzz driving into town that night. What was that like, going back to that game?
That was really incredible. Going down for pregame and seeing the line all the way around the high school to get into the game, and it's only pregame. It was crazy. And then actually getting down onto the field, it was hard to hear. So it was incredible.
Were you calm that night? I mean, were you able to be like, Or did you get more amped up?
It was a little nerving in the first quarter, just sharing blows back and forth, and then once we finally settled in and got our offense rolling, it was a little more easy to focus more so on the game.
Do you consider that a rivalry now? I mean, Jim Thorpe, North Schuylkill. I mean, North Schuylkill has a lot back. You know that.
Yeah, well, those are like the big three teams in the Division I. So every single one of those games is always close, and every one of them is always fought until the fourth quarter, closing seconds. So that's a really big rivalry right there.
Was there something you looked at in the offseason and you thought maybe, hey, if we improve in this one area, or we do this one thing a little bit, and I know you had such a great year last year, but you said, hey, maybe this happened in this game, if you guys could improve upon one thing that would make a difference. Is there something that maybe you looked at, maybe even personally?
We're really looking forward into spreading our offense out a little bit more, making sure the defense is more so settled into our new responsibilities, changing from a 4-4 to a 4-3 defense. So just getting into different pass coverage situations, trying to prevent certain routes to happen, all that.
I know a question I like to ask coaches and players at this time of year. This will be a successful season. If you could finish the sentence for me, this will be a successful season for Tamakwa
if we all stay healthy and we all limit our mental mistakes.
I think I remember last year the defense, there was like cawing going on when it was about the blue flock.
That was the blue flock.
All right, is that going to keep going? Is this like a thing now?
That's going to keep going. Blue flock is going to be here to stay.
Nice. Superstitions, Dave, you want to hit on that?
Yeah, we've talked with some of the players and coaches about their superstitions. Do you have any superstitions, rituals before a game?
Not really. I just try and get my head calm, focus on the game and only the game, block out all the crowd noise.
Is there a player on your team who does have a superstition? You don't even have to name names, but is there someone who you're like, oh, there goes whoever again? And
I'd say it's Nate.
Okay.
Nate
Boyle?
Yep, Nate usually ends up dancing a lot during pregame, trying to let go of his nerves.
How good of a dancer is he?
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's all right.
Get you guys loose, though. I mean, you're like, all right. So there we go. Look out for that pregame. Now, there's the inside scouting report on Tamakwa. Just look for Nate Boyle pregame.
Not only could he kick it, he intercept passes and play offense and everything. Yeah, he could dance.
Yeah.
We didn't know that.
Jake, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck, 2019. Head coach of Tamakwa Area, Sam Bonner, is with us now. Dave, I wasn't going to bring this up. You did. We were talking about your time playing in college at East Stroudsburg University. James Franklin was on the team, Penn State's head coach. You say you didn't interact too much.
Yeah, I was a defensive lineman. Not too many defensive linemen hang out with the quarterbacks. But Brett Comp was our starting quarterback at that time, and Franklin was our backup.
Did you ever think like, who knows, somebody from here might, I guess whenever you're playing football in college, you think someone's going to be a coach somewhere.
I don't know. Back then I didn't think too much, Only when I had to.
Well, let's get what you're thinking about now, Coach, as you take a look back to last season, sharing that Schuylkill League championship. Talked with one of your players, Jake. He said we won it all to our own this year. But did you look back last year and say, hey, this was a good football season?
Oh, no doubt. It was a very successful season. I think last year we might have snuck up on a few people. I ended up with a 9-1 regular season, lost a tough one to Notre Dame in the district playoffs. But very pleased with how the season went. Unfortunately, every year, only one team in the division ends up with a win. But we just want to build on what we did last year. We got a nice group of seniors coming back, so we're looking to obviously aim for that district championship as well as aiming for that league championship.
No, you look at that Notre Dame loss last year. I mean, how many times you watch that film, or do you just throw it out the window?
No, I mean, obviously, you want to see what happened afterwards. So, we watched it a lot, and we evaluated, watched it with our kids after the game. We left some on the field that I thought that like one thing, if we could have scored before the half, I thought that would have definitely gave us a little more momentum going into the half. There's a couple plays that we left on the field that I thought would have made a difference. But the kids played a great football game. It was an exciting game. But again, we're looking to maybe pull out those two close games that we lost last year.
When you go back, I remember talking to North Schuylkill when they won the District 11 championship last year, right? But a lot of the kids kept saying how they were so motivated by the loss they had in previous seasons. How do you balance that when you say, let's be motivated by this, but not get too caught up in it? Is there a way to do that, or is there?
It's tough. I said everybody has a different mindset when it comes to that kind of stuff. But try and preach, and we were just talking about it, and you hear this every year. It's kind of like cliche. 1 week at a time. I said, by the time we get to North Schuylkill, which I think that's maybe like our 6th, 7th week. I'm not even sure offhand. We got to take care of a lot of business before we get to that. And that's starting out with Lime Mountain for the first, game of the year.
We talked about that North Schuylkill game last year. I covered that game last year. And just driving into Tamakwa, you felt a buzz that night. Is that something that you felt before? You've had big games.
Yeah, we've had big games, but I'm telling you, that might have been one of the bigger ones. I said, like you mentioned, I remember pulling down to the school. I got down there a little early, and the place was packed already. And just a lot of excitement for the town, a lot of excitement for both towns. It was a great atmosphere, and that's what Friday Night Football, especially in the coal region, is about.
Do you feel the Schuylkill League is bringing that? Before at the media presentation, you kind of say it, I guess, no matter what conference you're in, sometimes you say, oh, great year for everybody in that. But last year, the Schuylkill League really seems like it's living up to a lot of the hype. And you guys are right there as one of the top teams.
Yeah, no doubt. North Schuylkill had a huge win against Notre Dame in that district game. I think that definitely, that makes noise for the league. That's North Schuylkill beating the Colonial League champs, and beating them handily. I thought that was like a big look for how good our league has gotten.
As you look at the team, what's one thing we should know about Tamakwa this season? Tamakwa, if you said building, what do you try to build on from last year? Is there like one specific thing or a few specific things you look at last year and say, hey, we could get better here, we could do better here?
Yeah, no doubt. And sometimes, especially when you're talking to the kids after they win 9 games, and lose 2 close ones, the last 2 games by a touchdown each time. But there's always stuff that you can build on. We want to make sure that we kind of clean up some of that stuff that when we do get in a tight game against, like we had at Jim Thorpe and North Schuylkill, that we can find a way to pull that out. And for us to contend for a championship, league-wise and district-wise, we're going to have to figure out as a coaching staff as well as a team how to pull those games out.
You have a player in Nate Boyle who I think I was at practice last year to shoot B-roll of him at I think a certain position, and then he was just everywhere. Yeah. And I was kind of like, when you have someone like that, I'm sure a lot of kids also do it.
Well, Nate's an exception. Nate's one of those guys. He's the only guy. I don't think. I said to him after the Notre Dame game, I'm like, man, this is the first time he saw you off the field. He said, you haven't been off the field the whole game. He goes, Coach, I haven't been off the field the whole year. Which it's the truth. He long snaps for us. He goes down and makes a tackle. He kicks off for us. He kicks extra points for us. He catches the ball. He runs the ball, and he plays linebacker. I don't know what else I could do with him.
We heard he's dancing pregame too. So he has all this energy. He loves the game. He loves the game that much.
He loves the game, and he does everything. Some things he does great, but he does everything very well. Certain aspects of the game, catching the ball, making tackles, and running the ball. The kid's just he's an all-around talent, and we're excited to have him back.
You have a lot of seniors back, obviously, including Nate. How much easier does that make your job as a coach when you have that much senior leadership?
Yeah, I think definitely going in. Obviously, we talked about having our quarterback back as well, Braden Knobloch. He's going to be a 3-year starter for us. He knows the game. We have 4 guys back up front. Big thing is, when we go full pads next week for the first time, there's not going to be as much as this is how we run this play. Everybody on our team knows how we run a counter tree. Everybody knows how we run a power reverse. It's just a matter of cleaning some of the sloppiness up and making sure that we don't take plays off. So it's more or less, keeping up that enthusiasm that we're going to need to have success as the year goes on.
All right, well, Coach, we thank you so much for your time here today, and good luck in 2019. Marian Catholic head coach Pat Morgans joins us now on the Good Sports Podcast. Coach, thank you for doing this crazy, busy media day. Do you guys get caught up in the excitement, though, of preseason football, or you've been doing it so long it's just kind of like, all right, we got to go to work, or is it still exciting?
Every year it's different, and it's still exciting, and this is an awesome event, and I appreciate all you guys coming down here, and this gets the juices flowing. It really does. What excites you about your football team this year? Is there something you really look at and you say, oh, man, I can't wait to get on the field and show people this, or just sort of for me to see this year? Yeah, really, the one thing I enjoy doing is teaching, and we have a very young team skill-wise. So it's good to get out on the field and teach the young kids. It really is. It's exciting, and it's awesome too to see these kids, the seniors that have been through the program for 4 years now, taking a leadership role and kind of helping the others. So they're kind of bonding, young and old together, and that's awesome. That's what it's all about.
Your school's program obviously has a lot of tradition. Is that something you have to teach the young guys? Do you leave that up to the senior leadership, or do they come in with the understanding that I have something to uphold here? Yeah, no, it's preached all the time, and again, some kids coming from all different areas, they're not all familiar. Obviously there's some legacies, there's some names that have been there for a while, but the new kids, you kind of got to teach it, and you show them the banners in the gym, and you preach it, and when former players come back, you have the Sean Loves and Jamie Ryans coming back to the school and talking to the kids, and hope it hits home. It really does, but keeping the tradition there is basically it's a great thing to have, and it's great to see those people come back, and we tell them it's their responsibility now to continue that legacy, so it's their job to do so. As I looked at your season last year, Coach, and I saw all these Division I teams early on in the year, and I think you guys started off with a few losses, and then all of a sudden you get the bunch of wins.
were you proud of your team to stay focused there, maybe not lose the ship and just say, oh boy, you know? I mean, how were you proud at that point and to be able to turn things around? And
Absolutely. I mean, I gave my kids a lot of credit the last 2 years because, you know, the last 2 years we had significant injuries early on, and then you're playing the bigger schools, and, you know, it's easy to bail. It really is. It's easy to say, oh, a new coach and a new this, and it just ain't working. But these kids persevered, and once we got to teams that, you know, in our division, you know, and those teams are still really good, but these kids going through those ringers, they've been there. So it kind of helped them compete against the teams that are our size. So I told the kids just, you know, keep persevering. Good things will happen. Good things that happen. They bought into it. They continued to work, and you know, worked out.
You said you're young, but you have some people from last year coming back, taking those lessons to be leaders, and
yeah, we have like a unique mix this year. We really do. We have a big senior class and a big freshman class.
Okay, so
and our seniors are predominantly our linemen. Heavy, you know, we're heavy with linemen. We have 5 of our 6 starting linemen coming back this year, you know, and so we're going to count on them to be our leaders. And then you go over to skill position, and we have a quarterback back and just one receiver. So we got to find a tailback, a fullback, and another receiver to fill those voids. So, and there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of young kids there, and there's some seniors there that have really stepped up and have committed themselves over this off season. So right now we're just looking to get those guys ready to go.
So you look at a quarterback, you talk about one of those leaders is Mason Miller's now been playing since his freshman year. How much are you counting on him this year?
It's huge. He's got to really be a big leader. You know, he's, you know, unfortunately got injured his sophomore year, so he lost that whole year of experience. So I think last year's experience, now he knows what it's like to go through. He knows the system, he knows the plays, so he can get in that huddle and he can tell kids, direct kids, and help them out and really become a leader.
Coach Lucas Joy, was he kicking for you last year too?
Yeah.
Or no? I mean, did he have some success last year? Was he? Remember this? Because I remember from year to year, and I told Dave I'm a big special teams guy, and I was like, I wrote down Lucas Joy. I'm remembering it was probably a good year for him at Marian.
Oh yeah, fantastic year. Really, I think he hit like 6 or 7 field goals. We had a game winner in overtime to beat Minersville last year in the rain. You know, his kickoffs, he was, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 touchbacks, and you know, he was still learning the game. You know, this year he went to a coaching camp and a bunch of coaching camps, I should say. He's done really well. He just took first place up at Colgate's kicking camp. So, you know, he's a weapon. He's going to be a huge weapon for us. You know, you make teams start from the 20-yard and you know, make them drive 80 yards.
It helps your defense, obviously.
It helps our defense. It really does. And so, you know, he can play a big difference in field position, and it also helps knowing that if you get in the red zone, that you have a good chance of at least getting some points.
Anything else, Dave?
No, I'm looking forward to your team because going back to Coach DeCoste's day, Marian teams have always gotten better as the season has progressed, and your team obviously did last year. I mean, you ran into a buzzsaw in Tamakwa at the end of last season, but I think you have a group of kids this year that know what it's all about, the program, and I'm anxious to see them play this year.
I appreciate that.
Coach, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mason Miller from Marian Catholic High School joins us now, senior quarterback, also playing defensive end. You know, we're sitting here on this beautiful golf course. I haven't asked one player yet, do you golf at all?
No. I've golfed once in my life.
How'd that go?
Really good. I beat my dad.
You were done? And then that was it?
Yeah.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Was your dad good? I mean.
No.
No, all right. Where'd you go golfing at?
When I went to Cancun.
Okay, so it was out there on the trip. You just figured once or twice. I was going to ask how you think you do on this hole here. But
I don't know. I've never really been around here.
Are you naturally good at some athletic things? Have things come naturally to you sometimes?
Not really.
Okay.
Like basketball and stuff, I'm not the best at.
How about football? Was football like a natural thing, and then you worked on getting better and better? Or did that take a lot of work to get to where you're at?
The quarterback position really wasn't natural for me because, like, when I was younger, I was kind of chubby, so I played the line.
Okay, so you're pro.
But then I wanted to play quarterback, so I worked towards that. But like running and jumping and stuff, I'm naturally better.
How'd you work your way into quarterback? What were some things you really worked on to get there? I mean, you're starting at varsity level in high school now.
Well, I was throwing. I worked with my grandfather, and then my mom also. I went to a couple throwing lessons with like Coach Cantafio from Spooky Nook down in wherever that is. But other than that, I throw into a tire at my house and like footwork drills on a ladder and stuff like that. So that's basically how I got to how to be a quarterback.
Nice.
Right. You talk about coming into a tradition like a school like Marian too. Is that something that you have to teach the younger guys, or it's something that it's understood when you come to Marian that there's a lot of tradition and to uphold?
Some freshmen, like people who had brothers and sisters go there before, they kind of understand it. But new kids, you really have to tell them like the tradition that we're going through, and they get it because they understand how important football and family is at our school. So they pick it up pretty quickly when we tell them.
Is it, but like the other kids who may not have had siblings attend Marian too, is that something like, there's banners here for a reason, that's something that we take great pride in? How does that work?
Yeah. They kids who like come in from Hazleton who don't usually have people like all around. Like me, I didn't have any family member coming up here, but Coach DeCoste was my coach freshman year, and he told me that family and determination and teamwork, that's what put the banners up in our gym. So that was the tradition that we have at our school. And it's some kids it's easier than others, but they usually pick it up by the end of their freshman year. That's our tradition there.
I forget if Coach said. I mean, did you have an injury last season, or were you fine the whole year?
Sophomore year was my injury, but last year I was perfectly fine.
Because I wanted to ask about last year. What did you learn from last year? I told Coach, I said, you have all the tough teams, a lot of the bigger schools up top. Yeah. You lose a few games in a row, but then you right the ship. And I said, that had to take a lot. Me, I would have been like, you know what? I don't know if I could do this. I mean, what did you learn from last season?
Well, last year was kind of my first full year as quarterback.
So you're learning on that end as well,
so I learned like the speed and like the tempo of the game. But as far as the teams go, we all kind of know that the first couple games is going to be rough. So we try our hardest, but we try to persevere for those couple games because we know that it's going to get not easier, but it's going to be, our teams are going to be closer together in skill towards the middle end of our season.
And within the division there, what's going to be key for Marian Catholic this year? For you guys to be successful, what's something you think you look at and say, we have to do this, we have to do this better, we have to do this?
Definitely our endurance. Because last year, North Schuylkill we played, they have a lot of kids and we didn't. So we have to work on our endurance so that we could play a full four quarters at our best. And because we usually are smaller than most of the bigger schools in our top 5 games. So that's what we have to work on, just our endurance. But other than that, we're pretty sound, or we're going to be pretty sound, obviously. But yeah, that's basically endurance. Because last year we knew what we were doing. It's just sometimes we get tired through the end of the game. But
there are a lot of fresh faces, people who aren't familiar with local football fans this year. Tell us about some of those new kids that might be someone out of the blue that might be a surprise this year.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of good freshmen coming up. I think it's like 10 or 11 freshmen coming up. But they're all good. It's not like they're like freshies, I guess you can call them, but they're good. They're athletic. They're fast. They pick up stuff really easily. Like you tell them once or twice and they get it. It's not like you have to tell them 100 times to do something. So they're going to be pretty good. They're going to be a helpful asset to our team.
We've been asking about people's superstitions. Do you have any? I don't think we've talked with one football player yet who said, "Oh."
They don't admit it. They don't admit it anyway. They said their teammates have one.
Do you have anything, a tradition or something you do before the game?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I look at myself in the mirror and I just like go through my plan of like the game. But other than that, I don't have like a pair of socks or like something like that.
Does Marian have a tradition? Is there something? I learned about some of the schools. North Schuylkill said someone carries the shield out. I mean, do you guys have a certain thing you always do or no?
Well, before we run out every game, there's a shiny horse that we have at our end zone that we touched. That's about our only team thing. I mean, like through the years, we have like special songs that we play before a game, but there's nothing that like sticks through the generations, unlike that shiny horse at the end.
What gets you most excited about this year's team as you get ready to go out there this year? Is it you coming back in year 2 in this offense? What is you most excited about football season this year?
Well, I'm just excited every year, like preseason, like starting the season. I just get excited because I remember the feeling like running out there under the lights, everybody's screaming. That just really pumps me up. And I know there's other kids on my team that feel the exact same way, so we all get really excited for that, like adrenaline rush. And playing and winning. Winning is so much fun. So it's fun to just go out there and fly around in the field every Friday night.
I'm impressed too. Like the players change and the years change, but the goals remain the same at Marian too. And Coach DeCoste always talked about playing meaningful games in November and December, and I'm sure that's still the same mindset this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're still looking for that. We're still going for this district championship, and we want to win the division this year. We came second, I think, last year, and we want to take a run at state playoffs too. But we're going to take it one game at a time, like my teammate said earlier. So
excellent. So big goals. Well, Mason, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. It's a busy time of year as you guys are getting ready to play some actual football. So thank you so much. Good luck 2019. Time now to talk about some Golden Bears football down at Mahanoy Area with Coach Dave Holman. Coming in, what year is this? I ask you this every year. I apologize. One year, Mr. Remember.
This will be my 8th year as head coach.
Really, it's building up. I mean, how do you feel it's gone? 8 years now under your belt. I mean, are you kind of at where you want to be?
We've had, besides my first year, 7 years in a row of postseason play. 6 of those years have been district playoffs, so I feel as if we're consistently becoming a playoff contender every year. I mentioned earlier to somebody that we're just looking to take that next step. We've unfortunately bowed out of the playoffs in first round in the district playoffs every year, so still waiting to take that next step.
Is there something you look at that you say, hey, maybe if we, I don't want to say, oh, hey, if we do this, it's going to happen, but is there something consistently you see?
Well, every year we've lost to the eventual champ. So that's an unfortunate trend. I think when we, as a small school, get to that point of the season, there's maybe some depth issues. But I just think we've come up against some very, very tough opponents. Like I said, the eventual champ every year we've lost to in that first round.
One of those teams, obviously, is Schuylkill Haven, the team you're chasing this year. What do you have to do to overtake Schuylkill Haven this year?
I think the first and foremost is I think you got to match their confidence level as a unit. They're experienced in terms of winning. They're experienced in terms of being there in that high profile spot, and they enjoy it and they thrive in that spot. So I think you have to try to match that confidence level first and foremost. Secondly, they always get the big boys up front. They always play extremely physical defense. So you have to be able to match that physicality as well as that confidence level every time you play Schuylkill Haven. I believe that in our division, they're going to be the team to beat. In our district, I believe that they are going to be the team to beat in District 11 in AA. So the path goes through them. Nothing new for us. We're just, like I said, we're trying to take that next step.
As you look at your team for 2019, what excites you? If there's one thing, our viewers, our listeners should know about Mahanoy Area in 2019, what do you think that is?
Senior leadership. We have a lot of kids in the senior class. It's a nice size senior class. We have about 12, 13 kids, which is very good for us. A lot of the kids have started now. This will be their 4th year starting, and the coachability of them and their ability to coach up the other kids, the younger kids in their positions. I mentioned it. Stopped practice yesterday actually, and praised them on that because they were jumping into drills and helping out with the younger kids, which is something that as a coach you love to see that, and hoping that can carry over through the whole squad, but I think the number one thing right now going into the season is the senior leadership.
One of those senior leaders obviously is Danny Lawrence. You have him at quarterback again this year. Talk about the dimension he brings to the game.
Danny is a strong kid, probably pound for pound the strongest kid on our team. He just will outwork anyone in the weight room, outwork anyone on the field. He goes away on vacation this year to the beach and he's doing ladder drills in the sand. He's that type of kid. So we expect big things out of him athletically. He has started for us since his freshman year in various positions, both offensively and defensively. Last year, first year under center, rushed for 940 yards and 15 touchdowns. He missed a game and a half with injury. So having your quarterback back in any offense, but in our offense means a lot. We've seen a big jump from quarterbacks from their first year to their second year over the 8 years that I've been the head coach. So very excited in that. I mentioned earlier that I want Danny's confidence level to increase this year. I believe that schematically, X and O's, he'll get it. I need him to jump to that next level confidence-wise, believe that he's the guy, believe that he could compete with anybody, and I believe that will carry the rest of our team.
Dave, I'm a soccer guy still. I'm learning more and more about football every year thanks to the patient coaches in the Schuylkill League and Mike Brennan up at the Hazleton Area High School. When I look at Mahanoy Area, you've turned out so many quarterbacks who are good at passing the ball and really running the ball. And you say things like, and I think as in me being like, I don't know much about football, I'm like, playing Mahanoy, you gotta get to the quarterback. Just stop this. What have you guys done so well that with your line with something that you've had this success at this position and they've been racking up the rushing yards and
90% of what we run is option. So we never truly call the quarterback to run the ball. A lot of times it just happens that way. Yeah. So like that's the ironic thing about it is I call a play. Typically if it's an option play, I don't know who's going to carry the ball. Depending on how teams play us, it could be the quarterback having a big night, our fullback, or one of our slots. It depends. Typically, as you mentioned, we've had a big success with the quarterback position. It is a quarterback's offense. We coach the quarterbacks up that it's your ball. You want that ball. You want to score. only give it unless you have to give it. We've been fortunate to have a lot of very good athletes in that position, which is typically what we do. We're not a traditional quarterback position where we take a kid that can throw the ball well and run the ball well, pocket passer kind of thing. We take a kid that's an athlete, essentially a running back. We put him under center. We have him run our offense, and we've been fortunate. Every quarterback that I've had that has run this offense for us varied our first year running this offense, truly ran it the last 7 years. Every quarterback we've had that has started has ended their career running for 1,000 yards. So Danny was just shy of that last year. We're hoping he gets to that point this year.
And of course, it helps to have a nice offensive line. Like you said, this year you have an experienced big offensive line.
This is size-wise my biggest line ever. They move well. They're very experienced. Our guys are trained to come off the ball. Our plays hit pretty quick. We're under center. We're like the Neanderthals of football now. We're still under center, but we try to hit the line of scrimmage very quickly. Our guys are coached up well to do that. They excel at that. When you add size to that, a lot of times we're undersized, but we move well up front. This year we have size. We have athletic ability up front, so I'm excited to see what these guys could do.
Dave, I always mention how impressed I am by the high school athletes in our area and how it really gets me excited for my job. I mean, they seem like great people, but they also seem so smart. I mean, to be in a quarterback, I'm getting nervous just hearing him say, "Oh, I tell the quarterbacks, go out there. It's kind of on you." I think when I was in high school, I'd be like, "No, tell me what to do."
Kick the ball in the net. You were a soccer player.
Yeah, but I feel like that to me would be a lot. That's a lot to have to know the offense, to be out there and have to know in that situation.
And play defense.
And then go out there and play defense.
It helps that the fact that Danny's number 2 in his class. His goal in life is to go to West Point, so he's the epitome of a quarterback. But we've been very lucky to have kids that have just really run with this position and really wanted to learn as much as they can in the offense at the quarterback position and become true students of the game. So it's our identity. I mean, there's nothing about it. People comment all the time to me, "You're going to throw the ball more." I always say I will if I have to. But this has become our identity. It's been very good to us, and I'm very excited about the crew we have to run it this year.
All right. Well, Coach Holman, thank you so much for your time today, and we appreciate it as usual.
Appreciate it.
Mahanoy Area's Danny Lawrence joins us now on the Good Sports Podcast, playing quarterback and outside linebacker.
Correct.
Is that correct? Senior year. Danny, we were just talking with your coach and talking about the legacy of the quarterback position at Mahanoy Area. Do you come in confident? I mean, it comes with so much. Your coach was talking about what you have to do on the field, and I'm not lying to you to add drama to this, but I got nervous. He was like, we tell them, "Oh, you go out there, you make the decisions on that option play, it's up to you." Did you come in with a lot of confidence? Have you developed more?
Yeah, so what helps with my confidence is our junior high teams run the veer, so they kind of feed into our high school in that way, so that when I come in freshman year, I have kind of an idea of what we're going to be doing. So that definitely helps out with the confidence. And yeah, like you're saying, it's tough on the quarterback. They have to make those reads in split seconds, and the whole play depends on it. So, you got to have that confidence to perform well.
Now, we're talking about you, and we talked about you with your coach. How much also is the guys up front helping you? And even the guys behind you here, you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to get smacked. Here's the ball."
Yeah, so obviously with any offense, the guys up front are the most important part. And then to have an important B-back, that's what we call the guy behind me. I mean, to have a reliable guy to hand the ball off to, it definitely helps. So, and then the 2A backs, they're important as well because they're the ones blocking for me and the B-back most of the time, isolating linebackers and whatnot. So.
Who's your B-back this year?
He's number 34. He's a senior captain this year, Alexis Perez. He played DN last year and was backup B-back last year, so I'm really excited for him.
Nice.
Well, you started as a receiver or another back in your
A-back, slot back.
How hard or easy was that transition for you?
Well, my freshman year, I was the backup quarterback, and then my sophomore year when I played that slot back, I was still the backup quarterback. So I kind of never really got away from it. So I really didn't have to transition at all. I kind of always knew the offense in the back of my head.
Your coach told us too, you're thinking about Army, West Point. That's like a dream. That's like something you're looking at, or is that what you're doing? I mean,
like to play football there would be awesome, but I'm just really looking to go there right now.
Why was that? Is it like a family thing, or is it just something you always wanted to do?
I'd like to serve my country, and West Point would give me the best chance about doing that, I believe. And if I have the chance to play football while I'm at it, that would just make it all the much better. So
you got the right colors.
Yeah, and the right offense. You said pretty much just running that option.
And I love the offense, and I've been up there a couple times, and I love it's a beautiful place. All the coaches are great, and the players are awesome too. Super helpful, and just to be part of that brotherhood is awesome.
I think of a place like any of the academies. I think of leadership. I mean, is that something you think you have, or you're trying to build, still working on? I mean,
you know, it's definitely something that West Point would help me with, and something I would need to work on if I want to go there is my leadership. You know, which being a captain and the quarterback definitely helps with my leadership skills. So,
is that something that's taught, or is that just something that you're born with, leadership? In your opinion?
In my opinion, you know, I guess teaching helps, but it's kind of, I don't know. I would say like it kind of has to come from you. Some of it, the most important part of it would kind of just have to be like in your personality. Like it's almost like something you can't teach.
Do you have a favorite football player, someone you look at and you're like...
Yeah, Army's quarterback, Kelvin Hopkins.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, he has the perfect combination of being able to throw well and run well, so...
Let's talk about what goes through your mind on a play. You're under center right now, and what's kind of the first thing going through? Like, what are you, without giving away like the trade secrets here on media day, but I mean, what are you kind of looking at? What's like the first thing that goes through your mind? When
well, obviously, if it's going to be an option play, I'm looking at the read key, and I'm not really thinking about anything. It's all
really,
about
it's
just
kind of reaction.
It's got to be mostly just reacting, because I tend to not think at all, because if I think too much, I don't want to overthink or whatnot. Yeah. So I just want to react and let my skill take me from there.
I like to say, what would be a successful season for Mahanoy Area this year, in your opinion?
In my opinion, you know, I think starting off with a win would be awesome, and I think, I mean, I could see us going anywhere. I mean, I don't really know. I don't want to sound like overconfident or anything, but I expect a better season than last year.
Your coach was talking about the guys up front, how you have some size this year, some people back. Does that excite you? I mean, when you look at that, I was going to say, what gets you excited about this team this year? Is this something you look at and you think, oh man, I'm going to be
we definitely have a bigger line than we did in years past, and it's not like they're slow either. They're all pretty quick. You know, they're all multiple sport athletes, so I'm very excited for that line.
Last thing I want to ask you, Dave was mentioning we've been asking players about superstitions, and I said mostly we talk to players, they say I don't really have one. Do you have a superstition or that before?
I mean, maybe not for football. Other than wrestling, I wear the same pair of socks for every match, but for football, nothing really.
You washed them?
Yeah, I watched them, yeah.
That's crazy that you have it for wrestling but nothing for football, huh?
Well, I mean, I can't, there's nothing that comes to mind.
Just that
other than, nothing.
Is there a guy on the team? That's what we've been asking. Is there someone on the team who has something that you're like, oh man.
Our captain, our other captain, Tony Merchlinsky, number 51, my center, he seems like he has a peculiar way about going about things before a game. I don't really know what he does, though.
Exactly what it is, but.
Yeah, you'd have to ask him about that, yeah.
Well, Danny, thank you so much. This was a pleasure, and good luck this season. Appreciate it. Leroy Boyer joins us now from the Pottsville Republican Herald. Dave Seaman, of course, co-host with the Standard Speaker here. Guys, another media day in the books here in Schuylkill County. What do you walk away with from today, Leroy, as you look at all these teams? You're covering them a lot. I mean, you obviously know a lot coming in, but as we leave media dates, what are some thoughts you have just sitting in your head?
There's a lot of talent that was sitting here on the deck today, especially skill position-wise. I mean, you can start with some of the teams that are going to be really good in our area. North Schuylkill and Tamakwa and Pottsville are probably the three best teams that were here today. But you have some other talented kids. Kobe Brish has rushed for almost 6,000 yards in his career from Schuylkill Haven. He's back. There's just tremendous skilled position kids at maybe half of the schools that were here. Each team has one kid that's really good.
Dave, you mentioned last year how exciting that Tamakwa and North Schuylkill game was, the people, the atmosphere. Was last year a special season in the Schuylkill League in Schuylkill County, or was it just, do you think it was just another par for the course kind of year, just the same excitement, same?
Division I, since they went to the Schuylkill League, this will be the fourth year now that the Schuylkill League is on its own. It's not the Anthracite Football League, it's the Schuylkill League. Pottsville's in it, Blue Mountain's in it. 6 teams in Division I, 6 teams in Division II. Next year, of course, that changes. The 4 teams from the Tri-Valley League that are in the Schuylkill County area, Pine Grove, Tri-Valley, Williams Valley, and then Nativity comes along. They're all going to join in this Schuylkill Colonial League collaborative is what they call it, in which they all kind of merge together, and it's a big, very broken down schedule. That'll be a big change for everybody, but Division I of the Schuylkill League the past 3 years has always been a slugfest between the teams involved. And the first year Pottsville and Blue Mountain were both real good. The second year Lehighton came out of nowhere and won it, and then last year you had the 3 teams that ended up tied. I mean, Jim Thorpe's always good. They always feel the competitive team. Pottsville had its down years, but now they're back, and North Schuylkill and Tamakwa have had a really good run of athletes the last couple years. So the games, especially in the last 2 years in particular, have been really, really tight. and a lot of them down to the wire, Hail Mary passes, defensive plays in the last play of the game, missed 2-point conversions. They've all come into play in some of these divisional games.
I'm just impressed with the coaches, too. They're all like young coaches, right, hitting their prime right now. And the more and more I watch the Schuylkill League or follow the Schuylkill League, and you talk Mark Rosenberger, Wally Hall, Sam Bond, it's just one after another, just great coaching.
And those guys have all been here. The guys you mentioned in particular, Rosenberger, I think this is year 22 for him at Jim Thorpe. There's a lot of guys that have been in 10 to 20 year range as head coaches, roughly about 15 for most of the veteran coaches. And they bring with them a lot of experience. And a lot of the guys that are head coaches played at the school they're at.
Ask, how many of them are actually played in the Schuylkill League?
Probably all of them. I don't know all of the head coaches, but just thinking of the teams, most of the guys that are head coaches played for the school they're at or a rival school. So they bring with that the growing up experience, the playing experience, now the coaching experience, and they know their community well. So they know the kids that need to get out to play football.
And they played under legends too. Mark Rosenberger played under Bill Flynn at Pottsville, if I'm not mistaken, or in that era. You look at Pat Morgan's playing for Stan DeCoste. So there are a lot of predecessors. The tradition here is, we're unmatched, I think, as far as any part in the state. When you talk whole region football, you talk excellent coaches, and that's carrying on now, like you said, with the coaches that we have now.
And those coaches had success. They weren't just guys on a roster. Even from McCarroll at Lehighton to Rosenberger, you mentioned, to Keating, to Mike Farr was on a championship team under Fred Perino, John Davis at Schuylkill Haven. Tim Savage was an all-state lineman at Williams Valley. Guys like that, they bring with you that credibility. Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, and that resonates down to the players.
Leroy, you're going to be covering this all season long. You're living it. For some of the maybe casual listeners and viewers, what are some headlines that you think as we head into the season this year of Schuylkill League football, or something they should look out for or maybe pay attention to?
Well, one, it's the last year of the Schuylkill League.
Okay,
so
be that.
It's the last.
Is there
year
a name for that, or they
just called it the Schuylkill Colonial Collaborative for now. I think it needs to have a name.
Something,
a shortened name.
Yeah, for headlines, for headline purposes.
For headline, definitely headline purposes. Newspaper guys. It's also the last year of the Tri-Valley League, so some of the schools that were here also, this is the last year of their league. So there's a lot to play for. You want to win that last championship. But there's also, there's that out there. But there's also just the year in and year out grind of, is this the year somebody in Division II finally beats Schuylkill Haven? I don't know that. How far does Kobe Brish climb on the rushing charts? He's at 5690 something now. Does he get to 7,000? Does he get higher? There was a kid from Schuylkill Haven that got it to 8,000. How far does Brish have? He doesn't have the super talented team around him that he's had in the past couple years, but they're still going to be pretty good. So how far does he get on that list? How good is Tamakwa? How good is North Schuylkill? They're going to have to butt heads in the playoffs at some point. They're going to play it in the regular season. They may play each other in the district final. And one of the coaches brought it up. Every year there's a surprise team in the Schuylkill League. 2 years ago it was Lehighton. Last year it was kind of Tamakwa. Which of the teams are the surprise team? Who jumps out and has a year that we don't expect? So there's always storylines.
Excellent, and those storylines, of course, you can follow in the Pottsville Republican Herald with Leroy Boyer and in the Standard Speaker with Dave Seaman as well. Also, you'll see them in both papers, I guess, as well, working together. And you can keep track here on SSP TV as well. We thank you for your time. It's the end of a media day. You're going to another, you said you're following North Schuylkill. You're not done yet.
We're not done, no.
Yeah, so people could look out for that. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, our football tab at the Republican Herald comes out on Sunday, August 18th, and North Schuylkill's Tyler Elsden, who you just had here moments ago, he is the cover story. He's going to Penn State to be a linebacker in linebacker U. So it's a lofty, he's a great kid, very talented kid, so we're going to profile him in our football tab. And we're going to do a little bit more work with that at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's going to keep working. Dave and I are going to lunch, so this has been a good day. We appreciate your time, though.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Well, there you go, a kind of in-depth look at everything going on with the teams we'll be covering in the Standard Speaker on SSP TV this year for the Schuylkill League, for Schuylkill League football. And Dave, as we wrap things up, a good sports moment. What's your good sports moment coming out of Media Day today?
Well, not just necessarily Media Day, but this time of year too. I got to give a shout out to all the athletic trainers out there. It's hard now because of all the demands that are put on that position right now with the heat, and a lot of players have to be nourished properly. properly. They have to be hydrated properly, and they have to be looked out for very carefully too. And a lot of time the coaching staff is so wrapped up in the coaching, and they might be unaware of the situation. So I think it's up to the athletic trainers to say, hey, let's scale back a little bit, and let's cut things down a little bit, and let the player catch his breath and that's a far cry from past days where players played in the heat, and people have told me in the past that if you succumb to the heat and everything, that was a sign of weakness, and that's no longer the case. We saw, unfortunately, there's been tragic situations, and so I think the athletic trainers do a yeoman's work, and they deserve a lot of credit.
Dave, my good sports moment. I mean, all the young men we talked with today, I was very impressed with, but what's sticking out in my mind right now, when we talked with Danny, when we saw, everybody did this, but they really thought about the questions. And not that you usually don't, but I mean, it's media day. Everybody's asking questions. There were a ton of reporters here, but these young men still came over here, sometimes with us, last interview of the day, and really thought about the questions and gave us some great answers. Danny Lawrence from Mahanoy Area talking about wanting to go to West Point and why he wants to go there and learning to be a better leader. And Tyler Elsden talking about, the pressure of being a recruit going to Penn State, but also having that weight lifted off of his shoulders of being like, okay, I know where I'm going. I felt like they were candid, they were honest. We always say this, that we have a lot to be proud of with the athletes, and as you mentioned, the coaches we have in this area too. Also didn't know that Sam Bonner got to play with James Franklin over there at or vice versa. James Franklin should be saying, I'm happy I got to play with.
He was a backup quarterback. He was a nobody at the time, right?
With Sam Bonner there from Tamakwa area. Well, to read more about the high school football season coming up, or during the high school football season, because I feel you could listen to this podcast at any time. Yeah, we talked a little bit of a preview, but again, we got to know some of the players and coaches as well. You could read the Standard Speaker, and you can also watch us on SSP TV. For this podcast, you just simply go to standardspeaker.com/sports or ssptv.com. You click on shows, Good Sports, or you click on podcasts. There's so many ways to get us. And if you want more high school football, guess what? We're going to have another podcast with Hazleton area, Dave. Coach Mike Brennan, a few of the players there, so you can listen to both of these, get you excited for the high school football season. But for right now, it was a lot of fun here today at the Schuylkill Country Club. Beautiful place. We appreciate them having us.
Give them a shout out too for all the accommodations here. It's a great location. They're not chasing us out.
Yeah.
So I'm indebted to them.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great day. For Dave Seaman at the Standard Speaker, I'm Ken Kara with SSP TV News. Until next time, take it easy, everyone.
You've been listening to Good Sports with Dave and Ken, brought to you by SSP TV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.